delightful, and oh so soothing. It's Sacramento Smooth Jazz.
Welcome back to Sacramento Smooth Jazz. I am thrilled to kick off our Artist of the Week segment with the incredible James P.J. Spraggins. This is Michael Andrews, your host, and I am thrilled to be doing this every single week. We got a different artist, you know this. And this week is an amazing musician, James P.J. Spraggins. Now, he's been making waves in the music scene for a long time, more than a couple decades, and he has some smooth vibes. If you listen to his music, you know it's infectious. He has over 8 million streams and counting on some of his music. And we'll talk about that. And he's shared the stage with many legends. I'm talking about Peabo Bryson, Kim Scott, just to name a few, taking his sound just worldwide. And of course, being an independent artist for more than 2 decades, he blends music, classic jazz, vibes, soulful experiences. I mean, he blends it all together real nice. And his latest album, Stick It Out, is a raw, honest journey showcasing his determination to overcome challenges. And we'll talk about that as well. So over the next few minutes, we'll be diving deep into his world from the early days to the present. We'll chat about his music, stories behind the tracks and what he can tell us, and what makes his style stand out. So just grab your drink, sit back, relax, and if you're driving, just turn this up because it's going to get real nice. Welcome, James P.J. Spraggins to Sacramento Smooth Jazz. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Michael, how's everything over there in Sacramento?
And it's going great. It's going great. We're having a great time. And, you know, we're over here in Northern Cal.
Okay.
We're listening to your music, okay? So you're out there in Alabama, right?
Yes, sir. Birmingham, Alabama.
Birmingham. Come on now, Birmingham.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get right to it, man. Your music is amazing. And let's go back to the beginning, man. What started it out? I mean, talk to us. Why music, first of all, and why those sticks? What's happening with that?
Oh, man. So music for me was and is an escape. It's something that pretty much captivates my attention. Just from listening to it, my parents tell me memories that they have of me when I was a toddler, how I would sit Indian style in front of the phonograph player with headphones, just listening at records and watching the records go around. And at the same time, listening to, what I was hearing and just being captivated by the sound. So at a very early age, music was something that I took to and loved listening to, and eventually started making my own. And as far as starting out with drums, of course, like the typical young drummer who's interested, you start beating on things around the house, and it gets to the point where your parents are like, okay, we got to get him some drums before he tears up stuff. So
right.
Pretty much that's what happened. But before I got the drums, I remember going to a church that my mom took us to. And the first thing I saw was a blue drum set, and a guy was playing them. And I was just fixated on those drums for the duration of the time I was there. And it was like almost right then I knew I wanted to play drums. That's where the journey started.
Speaking of the journey from then to now, here you are. You've played major stages from Bahrain to the Soul Train cruise. You've been all over, and you've collaborated with so many. With all that experience, what makes you get to the point where you go, I want to lay down this track and have this influence on it? Where does that come from when it comes to specific tracks? How do you isolate those?
You know what? I don't think it's done on purpose. At least for me, it's not on purpose. It just happens like that. Whenever I have an idea that pops up in my head, whether it's a melody or groove, but with me, it always starts with a groove. I guess being that I'm a drummer, I get a groove in my head, just a regular drum pattern, and I can start from that. And it just really by happenstance what it turns out to be as far as the influence, as far as the genres that may be embedded in the song. Always starts with the groove for me, and it goes and grows from there. So it could be Caribbean, it could be soul, it could be whatever, but to me, the groove dictates what happens.
Got it. Okay, so it just starts in your head, and if it's a Caribbean type thing, that you're going with that flow.
Yeah.
So you spoke about influences. So from then until now, who are your biggest musical influences?
Number one is Stevie Wonder. That's top of the list because not only is he a prolific songwriter, but he's a multi-instrumentalist as well. There's a lot of different instruments, and his music is just timeless, classic stuff. So
nice.
That's
okay.
My number one right there. From there, as far as it relates to my instrument, drums, I have many influences. First person that comes to mind is an amazing drummer from Philly. His name is, they call him Little John.
Yeah,
Little John
okay.
Roberts. Played with some of the great legends in the music business today. And he's just how he plays, his approach to drums and how to play with other artists. It's really, it's really helped me to up my game over the years. You want to go old school? Max Roach, Art Blakey, Philly Joe Jones. It's endless. The list is endless because it's a lot of great drummers. Also, one who I got to meet before his passing, Ricky Lawson. Amazing drummer. Played with Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, a lot of huge name people. But I actually got a chance to meet and talk with him at length back in 2011. So he's definitely one of my influences as well.
Nice. Now, I want to go back in time a little bit because you have a lot of albums that I've enjoyed and still enjoy. I grabbed things from a lot of your tracks, and going back to 2006, the Light of Day album. Now you're going to have to give us an explanation on something here because for me, for me, Nocturnal Drive, that one right there is on the playlist of mine. And what's interesting with that one, that's a nighttime mood. And I think of, I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area, so I think about the Bay Bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge at night. I think about a drive, obviously at night. Being here in Sacramento, we have the Tower Bridge. I'm thinking about the lights at night overlooking the water in the Delta. Nocturnal Drive. Now, that's something that resonates. And you have over 8 million or more streams just on that track alone. What's the story?
Yes, sir. On YouTube.
On YouTube.
It's 8 million plus streams of Nocturnal Drive. And if I were to have a hit, how artists today dictate their hits, things that do really well for them. Well, I don't consider myself a big name artist because, jazz is not like pop. But anyway, if I were to have a hit, Nocturnal Drive would be that hit because across all the streaming platforms, that's the one song that is like constantly played and streamed all the time. And I'm grateful for the people listening to it. Sincerely grateful.
What's the story behind that? Was that just started with a beat as well? What's the creative process on that?
So I was finishing up college at Alabama State when I came up with that one, Alabama State University in Montgomery, Alabama. And I was coming back to my apartment from the campus, and I just had that drum beat and bass line in my head. That's all I had. So I had just gotten a new keyboard, where I could process all of my ideas and stuff. And I got back to the apartment. I remember staying up all night that night coming up with that song. And because once I start coming up with music, I get fixated on it. It's hard for me to pull away, especially if it's starting to get good to me. It's hard for me to pull away until I'm done with it. And I remember that song in particular because the intro is thing I came up with at the last minute because I was pretty much done with the song, but I didn't have an intro. I was like, man, I need to have a captivating intro to start the song off. So I played around with a couple ideas, and at the last minute when I came up with the intro that you now hear on the song, I was like, okay, that's it. I'm not doing anything else to this because I've spent a whole lot of time on it. So yeah, so that idea came up as I was driving back to my apartment in Montgomery, Alabama from college campus, and it was at night. That's the reason why I call it Nocturnal Drive.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for sharing that. I am speaking with an amazing musician, James P.J. Spraggins, here on Sacramento Smooth Jazz. You got to take a look at his music. It is amazing. Nocturnal Drive going back to 2006. Let's get back to the current right now because you have an amazing album right now with Stick It Out. I always tell people, if you're going to go to your Amazon's music or your iTunes to get music, getting a track here, that's great. And the artists really appreciate that. They respect that and they're thankful. You listeners, I'm going to say, get the whole album. Why? Because there are tracks that will not be played as much on streaming platforms, but when you hear them, you find that it takes you on a journey. And then you begin to appreciate this journey, and then you can appreciate more so the artist behind it.
Yes, sir.
So I encourage you to get the album. And I remember back in the day, we'd go into an album store, record store, and we'd go into a booth and listen to the whole record and then buy it. My mom used to do that all the time. And so get the whole album, and Stick It Out is a wonderful one as well.
Thank you.
You collaborate. No problem. You're welcome. You collaborate with a lot of individuals. What's the inspiration about concerning, I want to work with this person, or this person needs to be on this track? How does that work out for you? What's your process?
Well, my instrument is drums, and because of the nature of my instrument, I get called a lot of times to play with other artists because they need a drummer whenever they come in town, or, they're doing a show, they need a drummer. So a lot of really all the people that I've met through music, I've met because I've played for them at some point in the past. And during that interaction, I become a fan of their music, and I'm like, okay, I hope if I ask them, they won't mind playing on my stuff. So that usually is the case, and that's how it happens. I've played for them at some point, and they return the favor when I call and ask them, hey, I hear your voice or your instrument on this particular song that I wrote. Would you mind playing or singing? And most of the time they say yeah. So that's really
right.
Cool. Yeah.
Now, with your album too, I noticed that you're getting personal about adversity that you faced.
Yeah.
Okay. That you're being very transparent with that. What's been rewarding and openly about this when it comes to sharing your journey?
Well, to me, the rewarding part is helping other people that may be going through either the same thing that I went through, going through, or something similar. Being able to help other people out through music, because I think, as a musician, I believe that music is a very powerful medium, and I think it should be used to help people. In my case, people are going through a tough time. I try to make my music sound positive and sound hopeful. Just let them know, hey, it's going to be all right. Just hang in there. And that's really the meaning behind the album title, Stick It Out. Just stick it out. It's going to be okay. Hang in there. It's going to be all right.
Yeah. So our listeners can now understand that your music is about wellness. It's about healing.
Yes, all the time. Exactly.
Being whole, being restored. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. So there's a method behind this.
Yes.
In this. So I like that a lot, actually. That's really good. Now, I have a question. I'm just thinking out loud here. When it comes to your music, when it comes to just you, when you're not doing music, when you just want to just shut it down, and get centered and think about other things, what do you do, man, when there's no music involved? How do you just turn it off and just say, okay, I'm gonna relax and there's no music involved? What do you do when you turn the music off?
It's a couple of things that I do. I'll turn my phone all the way off, like power it totally off, get to a quiet place and just be quiet and listen to God. I'll pray. And other times I want to hear music. So I listen to different types of music that helps me to, I guess, be more cerebral. I really love listening to Pat Metheny. I have several of his albums. Yes. And, of course, because of streaming, I can stream all of them, but really a big fan of him and several different artists that I listen to. But I have to have some type of music going on, whether it's just in my head or if I'm listening, and if I'm riding in the car, I'm listening. That's a big part of who I am. So I have to have it going on at some point. There are times where I just shut everything down and I'm just quiet. And usually I'm either talking to God or I'm coming up with other music when that happens.
If you're just tuned in, I'm speaking with an amazing musician, drummer, just multi-instrumentalist, James P.J. Spraggins. He's joining us here on Sacramento Smooth Jazz, talking about his music. His latest album, Stick It Out, is a wonderful journey, letting you know that, hey, hang in there. Don't give up, cave in, or quit. It's about healing, about getting over some things and stick it out. I really like that a lot. So I'm seeing that a little bit more differently now. When I listen to this album, I now have a clearer understanding as to what your message is to all of us in regards to this. So let me ask you something here. You've been doing this a while, and you meet a number of musicians. They're trying to do some things. What kind of career advice do you give someone just trying to get into the music business, or they just want to play some music? And what can you give that was maybe given to you? What do you have to say to these younger individuals?
The younger, especially, be true to yourself. Don't try to impress other people. Don't get into that type of behavior when it comes to music, because I think your fans, the people that'll listen to your music, they want to be in tune with the artist, not, anything that people may think the artist want to do. The artist has to be central in his or her platform as far as what type of music they're doing. And they have to be true to themselves because it comes out in the music. I think the fans are very smart people. They can tell when you're genuine and they can tell when you're not.
Oh yeah,
So
they're smart.
It's best, yes, very smart. So it's best for musicians, artists to be themselves because that comes out in the music. I would also tell them not to be so anxious to be successful overnight because that's not going to happen. It's definitely maybe not a waiting game, but you just keep doing the right thing and it'll happen in time. Also, it's all in how you define the word success. Myself being an independent musician, the way I define success is I make something that vibes with me in the way of a song, and I do the best I can while I'm creating that song to make it sound the best. And when I eventually put it out, if somebody buys it or streams it, that's success to me. Yeah, I don't base it on the amount of CDs I sell or streams I have. The fact that somebody across the world who I don't even know hears something that I made and they like it enough to download it and listen to it multiple times, that to me, that's success.
Now, how can our listeners contact you online? Well, what do you have for us?
I have my website, which is www.jamespjspraggins.com. They can go there. Not only can they buy physical CDs, which I still sell at shows and of course on the website, they can also buy direct downloads from my website. Also, on all social media platforms, James PJ Spraggins. You can contact me there, see what I'm doing. I have a lot of people following me on Facebook because I like to post a lot on Facebook, different types of things. Let's see, what else? All the streaming platforms, just type in James PJ Spraggins and all of my music will come up. There's 4 albums. First one is Lighter Days. Second one is Pure Logic. Third one is Time to Heal. And the fourth and most recent is Stick It Out. All those projects are out there ready for you to listen to.
Nice. Now, let's do this. I want you to introduce any one of your songs to our listeners and give us a little background on it if you can, but I want them to hear what's happening with you.
Okay, from the new project, Stick It Out, there is a song called Waiting in the Wings. The backstory of that, a small backstory, I recently went through a divorce and I was married for 20 years. So while I was going through the divorce, I came up with that song because basically it talks about someone or something being there when you think your situation is hopeless, that someone or something is waiting for you to reach out and catch you when you think you're falling, when you think it's all over or whatever. And that's what that song, Waiting in the Wings, is about. It's about holding on to that last glimmer of hope, and you doing that, everything is going to be all right.
Nice. And you get to hear it right now on Sacramento Smooth Jazz. PJ, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for listening to Sacramento Smooth Jazz. To continue listening to Smooth Jazz 24/7, follow Sac Smooth Jazz on social media and listen by going to sacsmoothjazz.fm.